The 7-year tribulation. While studying end times prophecy, you will encounter some who talk about a future 7-year tribulation. Let's look into this idea to determine if it's actually biblical or man-made. First of all, what is a tribulation? Tribulation in the New Testament simply means a trial or testing. It literally means to be put under pressure. Now, with that word defined, we can all agree that there has always been some sort of tribulation ever since the time of Yeshua till now. Today, believers are beaten, imprisoned, enslaved, burned, beheaded, stoned, and even crucified every year in places like Northern Africa, the Middle East, and China. Tribulation has been going on for believers ever since the days of Yeshua till now, all throughout the earth. We just don't see it as much from a Western world perspective. Now, the idea of a future 7-year tribulation primarily comes from a lens of futurism. Futurism takes the 70th week of Daniel 9, which has already been fulfilled, and places it under the unforeseeable future. They teach that the previous 69 weeks of Daniel 9 have been fulfilled already, but they add a 2,000-year time gap and say that the final 70th week of Daniel 9 is yet to come in the form of a tribulation. Please watch my 2-part video teaching on Daniel 9 to see that all of Daniel 9 has already been fulfilled by the 1st century, including the 70th week. The final week, or 7 years, began when Yeshua was baptized and began his ministry. 3.5 years later of his baptism, he was cut off, meaning he was persecuted and killed. And then from his crucifixion, 3.5 years after that, we total 7 years, the gospel was sent to the Gentiles by the apostles after Stephen was martyred. I repeat, all 70 weeks of Daniel 9 has been fulfilled by the 1st century. With everything happening in today's world, I think it's important not to use prophecy incorrectly, which creates a false sense of panic, stress, and endless guesses as to when this supposed future 7-year tribulation will begin. And to be real frank with you, this future 70th week tribulation is popular because it makes money. It's sensational. And the idea of a future 7-year tribulation sells a lot of books and DVDs. Ephesians 4, verse 14. That we henceforth be no more children, tossed to and fro, and carried about with every wind of doctrine, by the sleight of men, and cunning craftiness, whereby they lie in wait to deceive. So let's conclude what we discussed. First, a tribulation simply means to be put under pressure, which believers have been going through ever since the time of Yeshua till now. Second, the idea of a future 7-year tribulation comes from a futuristic mindset of end times, known as futurism. They misplaced the 70th week of Daniel 9 into the future. Third, the 70 weeks of Daniel 9 was fulfilled by the 1st century, with Yeshua's ministry, death, and the apostles being sent to the Gentiles to preach the good news. And finally, the teaching of a future 7-year trib has been making money for some. It sells a lot of books and DVDs due to its sensational predictions. So test all things and be on the lookout. 1 Thessalonians 5:21. Test all things, hold fast what is good. Please share this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel to see other videos on Daniel, Revelation, and other end-time studies. Thank you and shalom.